This is episode 6 of our travel series, and today's topic is travel light, travel right. That's a good test of L and R pronunciation. Hello, Sue.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well. So travel light. We're saying that traveling with as little baggage as you can is a positive thing. What are the first benefits of traveling light that we're going to talk about?
I think the fact that you don't have to carry so much stuff around. You need to get yourself to the airport. Mm-hmm. Once you arrive to wherever you're going, you have to carry these bags with you. Train stations sometimes are difficult and with many stairs.
Train stations and also just trains. You know, if you've got a huge suitcase and you're trying to get on a busy train at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, or, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, this rush hour period, it's going to be difficult. Traveling with as little baggage as possible is going to make things easier. We were traveling in the summer and we saw some people with so many bags. We saw a couple, both of them had 3 cases each. 2
big ones and 1 small one each. Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what kind of traveling they were doing, but it was a lot. You can move around much more easily. You don't have the stress of having to carry or move these huge bags or cases around.
And often I feel like you can overpack. You pack more things than you're going to use.
Yeah, you always think the worst is going to happen. You always think like, oh, what if all my shirts get dirty or my trousers get dirty, or what if I ruin these shoes or whatever? So you always plan with the idea that you need extra. You need a backup option in terms of clothing. With experience traveling, you realize that these horrible things don't happen. And if they do, it's fine. If you need to get a new t-shirt, you can get a new t-shirt. There are shops in other countries, in other places.
You can probably wash your clothes.
Exactly. You can wash your clothes. Traveling light, I think, reduces a little bit of the stress of travel because you have less things to carry around, less things to worry about. And also, when you have a really big case, you're trying to find something small in your case and you just can't find it because you've got so much stuff with you. Whereas if you have a small case or a small bag, you know exactly what you have with you the whole time. What about the cost? Is it cheaper to travel light?
I think these days it is, yes. Because now airlines will charge more for checking in bags.
Yeah, there'll be an extra cost. If you have only a carry-on, and carry-on means you take it onto the plane with you, into the cabin of the plane, very often that's free. But if you have a case or a big bag and you want to check it in, which means it goes into the storage area of the plane, they're going to charge you for that. I remember when I started traveling, they didn't have that system. Having a checked bag was part of your ticket price. But now, maybe tickets are cheaper, but if you want to check in a bag, they're going to charge you for it. When we were traveling in the summer, we saw a lot of people traveling only with carry-on bags. So they took the bags onto the plane with them and they didn't have a check-in baggage.
No, what I noticed was it took more time for us to get into the plane because everyone has to find a spot for their carry-ons.
Right. So actually, once you're on the plane, in the overhead compartment, there's a lot of organization that has to happen.
Indeed. But these people that travel with the carry-ons, we arrive to a place and they can just walk out. They don't need to wait for their bags.
Yeah. Once the plane lands, they've got their bags with them and they can leave immediately. So they can save a lot of time. Okay. So traveling with less is a good thing. A good tip, I think, in terms of clothing is something called layering. So if you're traveling, you don't know what the weather's going to be like. You know, the weather could be hot one day, cold another day, might rain. You don't really know what kind of weather to expect. But if you layer your clothing, so you have thin layers of clothing, maybe a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, maybe a fleece, a light jacket, you've got layers of clothing, that gives you some options. So if it's hot, you just wear the t-shirt. If it's a little bit cooler, you've got a long sleeve shirt or maybe a jumper. If it's cold and raining, you've got your jacket. But having those layers is going to help you.
Yeah, and you can mix and match these layers. Mm-hmm. So that's always good. Sometimes when I'm packing, I try to pack the same colors. So I only need a pair of shoes that match everything.
Right, yeah. So this is kind of versatility.
Yeah.
You're looking for a bit of versatility in your packing. So that top goes with those trousers, for example. Everything kind of works together. So you have many, many different outfits.
Yes, you have options with very little clothing, let's say. So yeah, like choosing some colors and you just go with that.
Yeah.
It really saves space.
Something that I think is an important thing to do when traveling is try to remember that there will be occasions when you want to look a little bit more smart than a typical tourist. So when you're a tourist, you spend a lot of time outside, running around, seeing things, doing things. So you wear comfortable clothing. Maybe you've got comfortable shoes, you know, t-shirt, shorts, baseball cap, whatever. But maybe there are times when you want to do something a little bit fancy. Maybe you want to go for a nice meal, or you want to go to the theater or something, or go to a fancy bar, or just not look like a typical tourist for a while. So try to think about clothing that can look a little bit smart, even if it's just like a white shirt that can look smart, or maybe shoes that are not, you know, running shoes, or sandals, you know, something that looks a bit different. And I noticed this when we were in Spain. It was my first time going to Spain, and you told me, like, try not to dress like a tourist. Okay. I know it's hot, but bring some chinos, bring shirts, try to look smart. And that's the way that people in Madrid dress.
Yeah, it's a city that is hot, but it's still a city. So people do dress up, you know, it's not the beach. And yeah, I think we were able to just pass as not locals, but we didn't call that much attention being tourists.
Yeah, I think they are probably used to seeing the tourists from the beach in the city, and they're clearly tourists. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to think about it. You're in a city, there's lots of professionals, business people, you know, working, living their life. And yeah, it's not a beach resort. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but, you know, make sure that you've got at least something that allows you to dress up a little bit. And it will help you make choices at the last minute. Say you decide to go for a nice dinner, or do something kind of a little bit more cultural. You have that option. You've got a light jacket that you can wear, or a shirt, or a pair of leather shoes, something that makes you look like you're not a tourist for a couple of hours.
Exactly.